happen on the stage. There we go. I didn't do that. I apologize. So this is the catalog that we are going from. Again, however, the suite that I'm using is an online. So remember, our catalogs are quarterly. Then you have online exclusives that come out every couple months. And this is the one that we're using, the Cute as a Bug Suite. Again, it includes the bundle. So if you want to just buy the stamps and dies, that's a bundle. You can buy the stamps separately, the dies separately. But if you want to buy the suite, you get the DSP, the ribbon, the gems, and then, of course, the stamps and dies. I've explained that enough this week. I think it's great. Cute little set. I hope you've enjoyed the cards we've created. Let me just pull them out here. Card 1. Card 2, card 3, and then card 4. So this one was the fun fold. This one had all the dies. This one, these two we were focusing on layering. This one more the DSP. So a little bit of everything in these cards, and you can see how one suite can make cards quite versatile. And they don't have to be bugs like we used flowers here. This one was fruits, and then of course we have the little bugs. So really cute. I also want to mention the product of the month. So, first off, if you order from me anything $50 or more, I will send you a free catalog, so you can get your hands on it, flip through it. But it is available digitally. You can go on to my website, Sissy's Cards and Crafts, follow the link to Stampin' Up, or just go to my Stampin' Up shopping link at the bottom, and you can see everything on there. There's two ways. You can either download the catalog and flip through that digitally, or you can just find the product through a search, which it works quite well. Also, the product of the month, every month they come out with a unique product just for that month. This is something new. So far, they've had stamp sets, they've had one die released, and DSP. Only one per person. Once you order one, that's it. And then once these are done, they're done. So they're really cute, a great deal, $7 Canadian if you buy $100 or more. That's how you have to reach that. You can't buy it if you've purchased less than $100 before tax. Really sweet. Mine is coming in probably today or tomorrow or the next day. And I'm looking forward to doing some cards with that next week, at least looking at it. And then also, I'm hoping next week to do the Homemade Sweetness set. It'll definitely be my next set. I hesitate about next week because I'm working. So it's always fun when I'm working. But I'm hoping to pre-record some videos for so I can just release them. All right, enough's enough. We're going to do a box card. So I've done a couple box cards, and I actually gave the one to my godfather today. So a box card is like a little box. It stands up and it folds flat for mailing, and we create a little seam with it. I've really enjoyed these. One of the things I would do before I started with Stampin' Up, I have another piece here. There it is. When I would use my Cricut and do that. So anyway, all of these, they have yet to be uploaded because I was waiting to put the instructions down for this. So that's my goal for Monday morning, is to write these out, put them on my website, sissyscardsandcrafts.com, and it'll give you the cutting pattern for this. And then and as well as the cutting information for all of the cards. So box card. This is the shape you want. It works best with the 12-inch paper. If you use the 11-inch, it is possible if you do some rejigging. Maybe one day I will demonstrate that, but it won't be today. All right. simple, simple, simple. You're just going to cut your background. So whatever we want to be on the background. And I'm going to stick with my layering because I do think it makes a difference. So for the background piece, I've got a black piece of cardstock. I've basically cut it the same size as my back. And then I've just cut my toadstool piece just a little bit shy of that. And I'm going to try to keep using this lovely tape runner. I don't particularly like it, but as I shared the other day, that my glue is running low. And I'm sorry I didn't release this yesterday, but as I shared, I've had an awful bout of wild parsnip again. I don't know if that's something that's a problem in your area. And see, I've got that off-centered and I can't rejig it, but let's see if I can peel it off. If I do it holding my breath, maybe it works better. I don't know. Almost. Let's see if I can get that a little better. I'll maybe aim it at the end so I can see my sides there. Yeah, wild parsnip. I don't know if you can see my arms. It's just been, and last night I literally was sick to my stomach with it, and I just went to bed, had a hot bath, thought, you know, maybe I'll just burn this off my body. But I actually reached out to a cousin who has shared on Facebook their trick for dealing with poison ivy at camp, and using broadleaf plantain, basically that weed that you see in your garden. So I've done that. It did help last night, but it's been so sore today. Okay, so now I've cut my little black pieces to go on my sides, and then I've cut the DSP again just shy. And I like the thin borders. You don't have to, but to me, I enjoy it, that look. I tried to make this so it will all be one continuous piece because I'm kind of anal like that. Really doesn't matter, but I do. This is both the same DSP. This is just A, B side. So it makes it nice and simple. All right, so let me put this on in hopes that I'm doing it the right way. There we go. Not that I guess I could flip, as long as I look after. The first one can go either way, I guess, but we'll stick with what we had here. All right. So yeah, I went out, found that I just cut the grass, so I kind of was pulling up stuff that had been hit with the lawnmower. But I did get a fair amount of it, brought it in, boiled it up. I was told to boil it for half an hour and then to run it through a sieve, drain it, and then use that on some gauze and lay it on my arm, like wrap the affected area and cover it with a cloth. So having all the roller first aid stuff, I have the roller gauze. I just pulled out some roller gauze and soaked one roll in the solution and then took a dry roll and covered it up with that and left it for a couple hours. Immediately it felt cool and it did feel soothing. And so then tonight, so you can see I'm just taking that one edge and putting it over. And this is where you can get a little bit tricky, because if you just use an 11-inch piece, you're not going to have this tab. So like I say, there are some ways you can try to rejig it, and I'll try to show it. When you do get it together, fold it one way and then the other, just to make sure it's going to go flat. And we're going to continually do that as we go through. So we're going to put our sentiment on the front here and maybe some of our characters. But then I've also got this other piece, which I've scored 1/2 inch. So this is 1 inch, and I've scored this 1/2 inch, and this will go in here like this. I don't want to be able to really see it, so I just want to put it in so it just sits below the top edge here. But this is the piece that I'm going to add some of my characters to, and then that's going to create more dimension, and it just makes it cute. So anyway, I did that. It worked. I actually got a pretty decent sleep last night. I was surprised because I hadn't been sleeping. The only time I did really get some sleep was when I took a Benadryl, and then I was like drugged out for 12 hours from that. So I didn't want to do that again. So this seems to work. Okay, I've just got that set in. To secure it, just again, fold it either way so we know that's going to work, and then that's secured in there. If that does bow slightly, it's because you cut it the exact same size. So it's just needs a little bit of space, but I find that bowing actually helps with give a little bit of dimension there. So that's our card base. Now that's done. I thought tonight we'll bring out the sheet that uses the dies, and we'll actually cut some of these little guys out. So where is my set? Right here. So here's our stamps and then all of our dies. And I'll continue on with my story in just a second, because there is more to my story of what I'm going to do with this concoction I've created. Okay, so I want to definitely use one of the flowers here because that just is some nice height. I've already used these other flowers, so I think I'm going to just leave them. But by all means, I actually was wondering maybe I had a piece here I could use. But I'm going to just leave that for a second. So I'm going to use that. We're going to pull out one of these, maybe this smaller toadstool, and then this piece, just so I can show you how that works. And then what little ones we want? We need one of the flying ones because I want to show you how that. So we're going to do this flying bee here. We're going to use these ants because they're just adorable. And then maybe the little bug that's reading, or one of these guys. Maybe one of those guys, I think. So we can use that and give some more dimension there. And of course, we could put some berries on. We could do all sorts of stuff. Okay, so these are a separate die that we're going to use in a bit of a different way. So I'm just going to set that aside for now. I'm going to set them over here in my nice little tray to keep them under control. And here's the rest of our dies. So first off, I'm going to just trim out these little, if you can see here, I'm going to just trim these little guys out so I can run them through the die. Because I can't run this whole paper through. So, and then I'm actually just going to come up and get this flower here as well. Oh, and now I've got the little bug here that's reading I could use. Now I'm second guessing that. We had the bee, so I'm going to get this little bee here. And that way, like, this backside's pretty cute. So I don't want to use it, like, just start cutting it all up. I don't think I'm going to use the little watering can. No, I'm going to skip that. We could. There is a separate die for that, but just the way I'm going to do it, I think it's not going to work as well. So we'll skip the little watering can. And then we will use, oh, I kind of wanted to use this yellow one. Let's use the purple one up here. That way I don't have to cut right into my paper. Like I said, I can kind of keep it. So we're just going to cut this here. We could also, now that I'm thinking of it, do some of these flowers as well. And the little mushrooms. Let's do this other flower here. Okay. All right. So while I get the dies all together and start running them through here, I will finish my story. Story time. You didn't know you're going to get a story time tonight, eh? So my golden doodle, she is such a sweet pup, but she has allergies. And I don't know if you're familiar with golden doodles and their allergies. It is a very popular problem. So what I thought about, and she's just been licking and licking and licking her one paw incessantly, like it's raw. And so I did a little quick Google search, and sure enough, this plantain, broadleaf plantain, is great for pets as well. And you can feed it to them. You can make it into like a tea. You can do oodles of stuff with this plant. So I thought, well, and one of the things the vet suggested that did the video was just mashing up some of the leaves and mixing it in with some olive oil, or not olive oil, coconut oil, and rubbing that on any sort of wound, redness, irritated spot for them. So I'm like, you know what? Let's give it a try. So I actually did that, and I put some on her paw. She went in, of course, started licking it off, but you know what? Internal, it's going to work too. So here's hoping. And then I'm going to get the flower ones out. Like that one. And this one. And so I put that on her paw. She, like I said, she's licking it off, but I think it will help. Hopefully, I'm going to give it a good positive outlook. And I just slathered it all over my arms. My hope is that it will solidify a bit more so it's not completely liquid, and then I don't have to wrap my arms like I did and get my pajamas and everything else soaked as I went to bed with that on. So here's hoping, really hoping. So you can see I'm trying to get as much on here as I possibly can, and using some sort of tape like this Post-it note tape, which you can reuse a few times. So it might seem like I'm being excessive, but I can just use that again for the next round of dies I'm going to use. But it helps me secure them on so they're not going to move. Also, I can use as much of my plate as possible as I go to drop it. Yeah. So let me know, share with me, do you use some of those old wives' tale recipes that we've all thought, yeah, that's just what grandma did, and we kind of think that was ridiculous and it didn't work? Because you know what? I'm seeing more and more how our medicines, yes, some of them work, some of them are amazing, and they work for a very specific reason, and that's great. And we need to be very thankful for some of those medicines. However, there's always a risk and benefit with any sort of drug. And the more natural, the better off we are, I believe. And so I'm starting to think, if I can find something, especially if it's free in my backyard and there isn't really any harmful side effects, why not use it? Like, let's go all out here, because I'm just, especially when you're going nuts and you're thinking, I am so itchy, this is getting worse, and you get anxious and upset, and you can't get to the doctor because it's next to impossible to get a doctor's appointment nowadays. Like, do what you need to do. I did a very poor job with that. Very poor job. We're going to have to do that again. So apparently my taping did not work properly, because it just did not cut it out. So let's try that again. Secure that right on there. I don't know if I can get this little flower as well, but let's give that a try. Try not to move the paper underneath. Look at the stem. I won't lie, it is a little bit more difficult with the smaller dies. At least that's what I find. So just know that as you're moving in, and there's a lot of small ones here for this. I'm just going to throw that one out before I'm like, what did I do there? And then let's do these ants. And I don't know about you, but every time I see these ants, I just want to sing The Ants Go Marching, like we sang with the kids when they were little. But yeah, so let me know what you think about these home remedies, naturopathic medicines. Like, I saw naturopath last year. I had struggles with low vitamin D, like, for years, and it was getting quite serious. I just was told, keep upping the supplements, take more supplements, and it just wasn't working. Saw the naturopath, and she's like, yeah, you got to take vitamin D this way, and gave me a tincture of it. And within a month, my vitamin D was pretty much normal. And the next month, she was saying, you got to reduce it because it's now getting too high. So that's impressive. And I pay attention when stuff like that happens. So let me know your stories too. Okay, did I do better with that one? Though the flower came out okay. I wasn't quite wanting just a flower. I know I said I did, but I changed my mind. I wanted kind of that. So I might end up cutting another one of those out. Actually, let's just do it while I'm thinking of it. And is there any other ones that we wanted to do? I don't know. I did have that little bug. Let's just do him just because I've got him here. Oh, gotta get my little ant out of there. So you can see why I went ahead and did the card base pretty much all before we got on here, because I knew this was going to be a little tedious. But we haven't done any of the die cutting this week, so I thought we'd end the week with this fun card and the dies. So let's just put this little guy in here. Like I say, I'm not sure with what's going through my brain as to how I want to create this card. I'm not sure if I'm going to use it or not, but at least we'll have them. Okay, run this through, and then we'll get the dies put away, and we will assemble this card. Oh, we got to do the toadstool. Sorry, I'm not drawing I'm not just going offline here when I can't think of a name. I just can't think of a name or a word. Again, I think it's gotta just be so thankful for that lovely menopause situation, right? Okay, so what I'm going to do is I can do one of two things. So I'm going to show you two different versions here. Actually, no, I think I'm just going to show you one. I changed my mind. Again, changed my mind. What I was thinking was doing both of these pieces with this light one and then bringing out the blending brushes and doing it a little bit differently. But I think I'm going, yeah, I'm going to use tape on this because you can see my plate is starting to bow a little bit, and that's part of the reason these aren't wanting to stay in their spots. But yeah, if I was going to use the same color and then do blending brushes and kind of use some tricks, but I think to speed up our time, I'm going to do it a different way. Alrighty, let's see that lovely, great, handy dandy little mini cut and emboss machine is just so handy. If I had to get up or turn around and use my other one all the time, one, it would be loud because it clunks more and my chair squeaks and there'd be problems. This just comes over. So you can see with that bowing, one of the things I do to help with that is I will put my plates together and then I store them in there. So that pressure kind of holds that down. If you want to even heat it up a little bit before, that can help. Okay, so let's start off with putting our little guy here in here first. So we have our background and these guys are going to be in the forefront. So depending on what level we want to put them at, I want to put this one here. Now, I am going to either have to take this and just glue the edge on and you're not going to see his feet, which is what I'm going to do for this, because you can see if I put it up higher, it's going to be too high. So for this guy, I am going to just go down a little bit and that's not going to matter. But for the other guys, it might matter, and we'll discuss that when I get to it. And you can have the option of either putting these in front of that dividing piece or behind it. Because I'm going to have to use his feet to glue them on, I'm going to put them in front of that dividing piece, just like that. So you can see when I open this up, it overlaps the back. So that means when I fold this card, it's always going to have to go that way. Otherwise, it's just not going to be as protected in the envelope. It will work, but it's just not as protected. So I want to keep that in mind as I position the rest of them. Again, it's not really going to matter a whole lot. It's them sticking over this edge or over this edge. They have to be level with those points. Otherwise, it's not going to work. Okay, so this one, I'm thinking I'm just going to place it here, but just in behind this front piece, just so I have that sitting out front. I could put it on the front. Maybe that would be better. But I think I'm just going to put that on the back because I want the little bugs that I'm going to put on the front to be kind of front and center. So I'm going to just stick that in there, just inside. Again, make sure I position those right. Okay. Now, this is part of my background piece, and you can see that detailed die cut out that lovely little mushroom or toadstool. That's perfectly fine that way. No issues there whatsoever. But you can also put a cap on it, and you can cut these out of a different color. Now that little slit is there just for added interest. It's not really to do that. That to me doesn't look right. It's just a little bit of added interest for the little mushroom. You could put it behind if that's what looks best to you. It's your card. But I've even kind of put them on an angle sometimes just to give it a little bit more interest. But to add to it, let's take the brown blending brush I have here. I don't know if I have any ink on it or not. Let's pull it out. Yeah, not a whole lot. So let's use the Cajun Craze. It's kind of a reddish brown. Just going to get that loaded on there. Make sure you give it a rub first, and then just rub it on the edge. And so what I was thinking is I could do both these and blend them both and, you know, go around. But I thought, you know what, that's just a little bit tedious for tonight. So I'm just going to kind of hit that like that. And I can kind of, I like to using the blending brush because it just seems to bring out those edges, and that kind of does the same thing as what putting a matting piece on it or layering it, right? So now I can just add this here like that. So I'll just put a little bit of glue. I have also used dimensionals to adhere these, and that looks cute as well. The smaller one, maybe a little bit too much with a dimensional, but it does, I've done it, it's cute. I'm not going to worry about it there for this one. Now, for this, though, I'm going to just kind of stick it in behind like that, I believe, just to add that little extra. And I will put that on with a dimensional right onto the back. So we did just pull two off at once. So there we go. Those two little ones. I might just put a smidge of, no, I'm not going to put any on the bottom because I'll risk if there's any showing, it'll be a point of adhesion for the bottom card, and I don't want to stick it together. So I'm just going to kind of position that in there like that, so you can see that little toadstool. Again, the depth, that's the layering, and the depth is the thing that I wanted. So I was going to put this little bee up here, looking like he's kind of coming in for that flower there. And that I was going to put on with a dimensional. And that's why I chose not to use the watering can, because that would have to be kind of positioned, and it's pretty tiny. I'm just going to stick him kind of right there, so it looks like he's coming in for that flower. And then what other ones I had? I had these ants and the other toadstool, which I thought I would put here right at the front, or maybe even down here. Let me leave that for a minute. Come back to that. These little flowers I wanted to put on my card at the front here. So I'm just going to put a little bit of glue on the bottom. My glue decides to work. And I'm just going to kind of add that in here. So really, we're just creating this cute little scene. And like on a card, you can create a cute scene, but you can only put so much on because you only have so much room. Where here, you've got more room to do that. I don't think I'm going to use that little flower. I was thinking of putting that in his hands. I could do that. That little flower there. We'll do that. That's just one little dimensional on the back. And then we'll use it. And he's delivering a flower to the parade of ants coming by. So there we go. Just like that. And then maybe we will put this little bug in here. So he's reading his book underneath the... Oh, let me show you what I would do if I want to see the feet of it. Sorry. I would just take a piece of scrap paper. And I'm going to basically just adhere it to the back of this and then leave myself enough room to stick that onto the base. So then it can be visible. Oh, come on, my glue is not wanting to cooperate. That's why I decided to try to use the tape runner. Okay, so then I'm just going to stick a little glue here. And then we'll just place it so I can still see the feet of the bug, but not so much that extra piece. See? Now, something even more amazing is using acetate sheets. You can make them actually look like they're flying. All right, and then I wanted to put these little guys, I guess, how are they? The trumpets first. Not that it matters. And then the flag, and then this little guy coming in behind. So these guys are going to sit on the front. I was going to put them on with a dimensional. So they're just at the bottom. So I'm just putting one at the bottom here and enough just so they're adhered on. We've got them just at the kind of on the front and sticking up at the top, kind of half and half. All right, just be careful that they are covered at the back, because when you close it, you don't want to have them stick to the piece behind and then you've stuck your card closed. Not what we're going for here. Okay. So there we go. We got this cute little scenery here. And then, I don't know. I think we'll just use these somewhere else. Okay. So that is, let me put all these dies back on my sheet. Don't lose them all. And then we will do a sentiment piece. So I will still use the Creative Haven dies, I believe, for our sentiments, just because that's what I've used all week and it's worked well. All right, these are in there. I'll put them back. And I believe we will use, so that's way too big. We could use that one. We've used that one a few times. We could use this one just to the side here. Or we could make it go like that. That would be kind of cute. I think that would work. Or we could use this one here, because that would have to go sideways. Okay, let's do this one. We haven't used this one, so let's go with that. And we're going to use it out of the Petal Pink. The stamp we will use is Hello Friend. And what do we want to, I think the Cajun Craze works for that again, because a lot of Cajun Craze in this. And we'll just do the colors we want. So Hello Friend. Perfect. Okay, I'll clean that after. I'll keep going here. And then where do I want to put these little guys? Because let's add these to this. So do I want to put them on this end or over here? I think this end will look the best. So we'll pull this right to the very end here, centering it down, taping it on. So you can see I've used this tape to the point where I've probably used it to its extent. Would have been nice to actually heat emboss this as well, but didn't have time. We're already on 40 minutes, so we'll just keep trucking because we're almost done. Stick this in here, run this through. Just through, and then I'm just going to pull these back in if I can. Nope. Just let them sit in the middle. All right. So here we go. Pop it up. I'm just putting them here on my desk, so it seems to work all right. All right, so that creative and die. Then let's just keep going with all the dimension that we've got here, and we will put some more dimensionals on this. And put that on here. And you know why I have that brush out? Let's just actually hit the edges of this as well. Give it just a little bit. I should have done it before I put that embellishment on there, but there we go. Add a little bit of pizzazz. Pick that up. All right, and then this can go on here like that. Now, let's also pull in some ribbon because we can and because it's cute. So what we're going to do here, oh, that got all rejigged there. I don't know how that happened. Just going to cut that off. Maybe there's enough actually with that. We could run that around. Not really. I'll save that for another piece. I want my edges, if I'm going to do this, I want my edges to meet underneath my die here. So I'm going to put there. That snag could have happened from trying to use a pin. I've found that, especially with this ribbon, that can happen. So you want to be cautious with that. And this tape pretty much is the right size. With this lovely gingham pattern, makes this easy. So what I can do is just run some tear and tape along this middle part here. And that's going to be how I adhere my ribbon. Give it a good burnish. Make sure it works both ways. And then tear your edges off. Okay. And we're going to have it start right here. Oh, come on. Because that's where our sentiment piece is. Don't pull this too tight. Otherwise, you'll end up with it being problematic. So just gently lay it down. Ooh, don't bend your little leaf umbrella there, buddy. Okay, so there we go. And that get a little crooked. Let's pull it up, push it down, Again, fold both ways. Just, you want to keep trying that just so you're not stuck halfway through. And now we will place this here again with some dimensionals, because we're enjoying using dimensionals tonight. But I am going to put these kind of either side so that ribbon can kind of run through the middle. I don't want to have to put these on it. One, it'll change my level of that I have going on here, but it also won't stick as well. And I'm going to run this right to the edge of the card. You can see those little bugs are basically walking right on that. There we go. Now we can take the back and take a piece of cardstock and to the size and make our sentiment piece on the back. If you have ribbon here, it might be best just to run it along the top or bump it out so you cover that ribbon. But there you go. There's a little card, box card, to end our week with sweet bugs. And you can see all those lovely little sweet bugs doing their thing and having their little party. For this here, we could strengthen that by sticking a piece of cardstock behind it. So I've got like another piece here. I could just do a thin piece. Let me just show you. So we've got, just to give that some added strength. You're not going to see it from the front. And sometimes the pieces you choose might need a little bit of additional support. And for some, especially if I'm using the DSP, it's a thinner quality or thinner paper. It's good quality, but thinner. Sometimes I have actually cut out the dies just out of regular cardstock, so maybe white cardstock, and then sandwich them together to give them the support. But really, I find that it's sometimes a little bit too much, and it makes the card heavier. So there you go. All right, thanks for joining me. Let me know what you think. I'm having fun doing these videos, and let me know what you think if you're enjoying it, or give me ideas of what you would like to see. More card video, box cards, more different types of ideas, like our heat embossing. Whatever you want to see, let me know, and we'll see you hopefully tomorrow for more cards. All right, take care.